I was so drunk.
All right, if you want to put yourself on mute, we'll go ahead and do the prayers. Refuge in the Three Jewels. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and of love. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. Dwelling in the refuge of Buddha, I clearly see the path of light and beauty in the world. Dwelling in the refuge of Dharma, I learn to open many doors on the path of transformation. Dwelling in the refuge of Sangha, a shining light that supports me, keeping my practice free from obstruction. Taking refuge in the Buddha and myself, I aspire to help all people recognize their own awakened nature, realized in the mind of love. Taking refuge in the Dharma and myself, I aspire to help all people fully master the ways of practice and walk together on the path of liberation. Taking refuge in the Sangha and myself, I aspire to help all people build fourfold communities to embrace all beings and support their transformation. We will bow to the shrine 3 times. Offering of flowers, this spread of flowers, fresh hued and fragrant, I offer at the sacred lotus feet of the noble sage, with flowers in great variety, the Buddha I adore, and by this merit may I gain release. Even as these flowers must fade, my body too will pass away. Offering of light, with lights brightly shining, dispelling the gloom, I honor the fully awakened, that light of the triple world who dispels the gloom of ignorance. Offering of incense, perfume with infinite qualities, the Tathagata, fragrant of face and form, I revere with incense, sweet and penetrating. Offering of water, we offer water, symbol of purity, to the Buddhas of all times. May this water both wash away the obscurations of ignorance and sate the thirst of craving and aversion. Notes on mindful breathing. Anapanasati is mindfulness on respiration. Ana means inhalation, Anapada means exhalation. Concentration on the breathing process leads to one-pointedness of the mind and ultimately to insight, which enables one to attain liberation, freedom, and perfection. The Buddha practiced concentration on respiration before he attained enlightenment, but this beneficial meditation may be practiced by any person irrespective of religious beliefs. We may inhale through the nostrils normally without strain, without force. While doing so, the mind may wander, but one should not be discouraged. When a wandering thought is detected, label it as thinking and return to the breath. Alrighty, Ida. Do we want to do a quick meditation or just go into conversation?
We can go into conversation.
Go into conversation?
Is that fine with you?
Yeah, sure. So let me ask you a question. What do you think about Buddhism? Like, what's the benefit of doing these kind of prayers and things?
The prayers, I think, are just kind of like the mantras, just to kind of get you in the mood of, get me in the mood of woke house and kind of just make you focus on being in the present moment. But the point of Buddhism for me is to like make me more mindful of other people's emotions and kind of bring me back to not get so caught up in all the things like work and drama and stuff, and it just reminds me that we're here for another reason other than that. I don't have to be so stressed out or angry. And also I think meditating in Buddhism makes me think, be more compassionate towards others, and it makes me think before I do something or say something. And you know what I mean? It's like slowed down my mind to where I can think of the consequences before my actions.
I think that before being taught about Buddhism, I guess you could say, like, I was mostly focused on, like, Christianity, and I feel like that's very selfish. Like, it's like, how are you going to get to heaven? Yes, love others, but, like, what are you gonna do to get there? And I think that learning about Buddhism has really made me, like, focus inward on myself to be, like, how can I love everyone and help everyone and be kind? And that is what, like, helps me reach enlightenment eventually. So I think it's really, like, changed it from, like, a selfish motivation to, like, one of, like, selfless.
Yeah, and it also makes me, going back to the Christianity thing, it makes me not feel so fearful of God and not so, like, guilty when I sin, because I would always feel a sense of guilt, and now I know it's okay to make mistakes, and God and everyone around me loves me no matter what, and I love myself no matter what.
Yeah, I agree. I think what's weird is, like, Rinpoche found me in this life, you could say, and I've been on this long journey with Buddhism, but I would be hard-pressed to say that I was a Buddhist. Like, I really don't know what happens to you when you die, you know? I assume something wonderful. I feel like if you are a kind person and a gentle person and a loving person, and you're not carrying around a lot of negative energy or darkness, that your trajectory, where you go when you die, is going to be, and this is kind of a Buddhist principle, I guess you could say, is like if you're holding a lot of unforgiveness and guilt and darkness and hate, you know, and you spend a life doing a lot of bad shit, that somehow or another, it's going to be like a magnet. You're going to be attracted to some place where there's dark energy, where other people with dark energy go, you know? But if you're full of light and love and forgiveness, and you leave this planet with, love in your heart, then like a magnet, you're going to be attracted to that place, you know? And so if there's a heaven or a hell, I feel like it's all going to be according to what's in your heart when you finally breathe your last breath, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the same token, if reincarnation is real, if you die with a lot of hate and unforgiveness in your heart, that's going to affect your next birth. If you die with a lot of love and gentleness and forgiveness, that's going to affect your next birth. So, although I can't say that I am a Buddhist, and I believe 100% in everything, I can say that it makes me a better person thinking about these things. It's teaching me a way to view the world that is helpful and allows me to not hold on to negativity. And by doing these prayers and being in this space, it makes me live for the light instead of the darkness. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know what happens when we die either. I don't know.
Yeah, I also think, like, these teachings, like how you're kind of saying about, like, sin and guilt and stuff like that, I think that, like, you're taught to think, like, if you lie, oh my God, that's, like, a sin, and you're going to go to hell for that.
And you need to repent and say you're sorry.
And say you're sorry a million times, or, you know, do your penance or whatever. Or, like, if you think a negative thought or, you know, whatever, there's, like, this checklist of sin in Christianity, and you're made to feel like such a horrible person for doing any of that, even though it's, like, human emotion, and we're bound to do these things. Like, I mean, murder and adultery and all that, that's one thing, but, like, the base sins. And I think learning about Buddhism has made me reflect, like, that it's okay to, like, sometimes you say a lie, or sometimes you do this, or sometimes you have, a moment where you're negative or whatever, but like as long as you reflect inwards and think like, okay, well, why am I doing that? What is making me behave that way? Like, that's your repentance, is like forgiving yourself and understanding that sometimes that happens. And then as long as you keep moving and keep being kind and keep loving and like letting your love pervade the whole world, as we say, like, it's not as serious. Like, you're not going to walk up to like the pearly gates and they're going to be like, you gotta go, you lied in 2006. It's like, as long as you're giving back and being like, you know, having that bodhicitta energy, like, you're good.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Buddhism has some of the same principles as Christianity, right? Except for that there's no judgment. Where, you know, so like in Buddhism, it kind of has the 10 Commandments, and like one of them is don't take anything that doesn't belong to you. And so even the wording is different. So it's like instead of thou shalt not steal, it says do not take what doesn't belong to you. And so that's a whole different like energy. You know, it's kind of like a hard judging God saying, I'm going to send you to hell if you steal, compared to like there's times that I'll be in a store or maybe I'll be somewhere and I'll see something that's shiny and I want it, and I'll reach over there to take it and swipe it, a little 5-finger discount or something. And then a little voice in my head is like, the Buddhist principles are don't take anything that doesn't belong to you. And I say, well, that doesn't belong to me. I shouldn't be grabbing it. You know what I mean? I can go ask somebody if it's for sale, or ask somebody if I can have it, or, take it to the store manager and say, hey, I found this, can I have it? Or put in a lost and found or whatever, we'll try to work it out however way, but I can't just swipe it, and there's a guilt there if I do swipe it, but it's not a matter of God watching me. It's more of I broke a Buddhist principle, and that's going to affect my karma. So now I feel in some ways that something's going to get stolen from me.
Yeah.
Whether in this life or in the next life, And so then I'll go back and put it back, or say, hey, I took this, I apologize. I found it. Can I buy it from you? Can I have it? Put it in a lost and found or whatever, because I don't want something stolen from me later today or tomorrow or 3 years from now or in the next life,
Yeah, I do like that principle for sure of the karma. Like whenever in Christianity, I feel like whenever I was studying Christianity or whatever, practicing it, I would do something nice for someone, and then I'll be like, well, hopefully God will bless me since I did something nice. And then now I think, I do nice things all the time, and then I think, well, just nice things will happen to me in general. I don't have to be dependent on a God, on an outside force to do something for me, or to be depending on that to help me and grant me stuff, because I'm worthy. Even if I'm worthy, even if I mess up and I sin and I break the principle, I'm still worthy of the good karma coming my way. And from a Buddhist perspective.
Yeah, and you're not necessarily doing those things to get good karma per se. It just becomes a way of life, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing about Christianity that I hated, is that I always felt guilty, and I always felt like I wasn't living up to being a Christian, and I always felt like I wasn't living up to pleasing this Father in the sky, And there was no way to please this angry Father. And so I had to try to do things to please him, and it seemed impossible. Whereas in Buddhism, it's like you just start practicing kindness. You start practicing, even this meeting here on Saturday is called Cultivating Bodhichitta. And cultivating, I looked up the description of that. Cultivating means to improve, to foster by study, education, or laboring, to give special attention to cultivate a friendship, to cultivate a hobby, to cultivate a plant. And so to cultivate, like if you're growing a plant, like you're giving it the right light, you're giving it the right nutrients, you're giving it water, you're talking to it, maybe you're playing music for this plant at night when you're asleep, you're cultivating it, you're investing yourself into it. And so bodhicitta, we know, is the loving kindness, generosity, patience. You know, the bodhicitta encompasses a lot, but we're not going to be perfect. No way we're going to be perfect bodhicitta. There's no way we're going to be perfect bodhisattvas, and Buddhism doesn't expect us to. But what we're doing is giving attention to it. We're trying to make it a lifestyle. Cultivating means we're you know, like if you're cultivating let's say if you're cultivating a hobby of like painting, well, first you buy the paints, and then you buy the canvas, and then you start watching some videos, and then maybe you join a class, and then you make friends with people that are painters, and then before long you have this lifestyle of painting, and nobody made you do that, or it's not forced on you. You're just giving attention to something, and when you give attention to it, it becomes a lifestyle. And so what we want is to make not lying, you know, not so in Buddhism they say the it's like the right thought, right action, right speech, right motivation, and things like that.
Written down.
Yeah, once again, it's kind of like the Ten Commandments. I mean, it's very much everything that Christianity would tell you to do and more is in Buddhism, except for you're cultivating speaking truthfully. You're cultivating loving other people. You're cultivating not taking what doesn't belong to you. It's a journey. It doesn't have to happen overnight.
Yeah, it's just a path to liberation and transformation. Buddhism makes you feel okay to be human, and that we have humanly emotions, and that when we're meditating, it's okay to have thoughts. Just push them out. There's no perfectionism. It's all understood by everybody around you that everybody is just trying their best, and that we're all human. Absolutely,
and you said it right. Path, right? So that's called the ninefold path of Buddhism, or the eightfold path. I'm sorry, I added an extra one. I'm gonna invent another. But yeah, what is the path, right? A path is a journey. It's not some sky father that's angry, throwing lightning bolts at you, gonna throw you in hell forever.
It's raining outside on your crops because you lied.
Yeah. Or it's not raining and your crops are burning up in the sun, right?
Oh, yeah.
But you can't get too much rain as well, right? But at the same thing, you're not trying to please anybody. You're just cultivating something that you decided to take this path, and you're going down this path, and you're realizing that by practicing some of these principles, you're awakening a little bit more and more each time. And the way that the world is responding to you, and the way that you're responding to the world and your own thought life, it's improving. And each step you take down this path, you're like, oh, like this is paying off. Like, I don't know why, but like when I don't tell untruths, and like when I don't take stuff that's not mine, and when I'm not like holding grudges and angry and jealous, like suddenly, you know, I used to say that, you know, when I was drinking a lot, I was planting a lot of negative seeds, and I was always wondering why I was walking through this harvest of thorns and bristles and cactus and like barking dogs and broken glass and like coyotes that I couldn't see, and it was always dark and the sun wasn't coming up. And then when I started practicing these Buddhist principles, I started planting different seeds. But the thing is, I still had to get through that part of the path because I'd already planted a lot of seeds. So like even after I quit drinking, I was still on probation for a while. I was still like my life was kind of shitty for a long time until I finally walked past that place that I had planted all those negative seeds. And then it's kind of like on a Disney cartoon, you know, when they're walking and it's all dark and gloomy, and then suddenly you start seeing these little bluebirds flying around and butterflies and like the sun and the rolling green hills and things like that. It's kind of like I came out of a dark forest and I entered into a green, beautiful valley. But I had created both the dark forest and the valley in my head by planting those type of seeds. Do you have any thoughts about that?
That's a really great metaphor.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, and I think like I just think that like your own thought process, like your own thoughts are what. I'm sorry, you literally just said that, are the seeds that you plant. But I think it's cool that, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
It's once again, Buddhism says that your happiness is in the palm of your hand, right? Where Christianity says your happiness is coming from above.
Yeah, in the hands of others.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to be happy until you're in heaven.
Right, and definitely when you join a church, not only do you got to please God, but now you got to please everybody that you're in church with, or other people judge you, and now you walk around and you're trying to tell people about Jesus, but at the same time they see you screwing up. Like, I was big about that. I would tell them about Jesus on Sunday, and then I would be drunk on Monday, you know what I mean? And so it was like always this wishy-washy, like, what the hell? I can't figure it out. I was judging myself. God was judging me. Other people were judging me. It was just this whole wreckage of guilt. Where in Buddhism, it's like none of that matters. It's all in the palm of your own hand. The jewel of enlightenment has always been in your own pocket. You don't have to please anybody else but yourself and walk your own path.
And it's all about perception. We always talk about that. Like, you're gonna go through a bunch of coyotes and broken glass path if that's what you're thinking about, and you're being negative and you're complaining about your day and you're doing all this stuff. But then if you just simply choose to be happy and choose to find the greater good, then that's whenever you're walking down the path of Disney princesses, and that's so easy to forget sometimes. I'll get annoyed that my patients are coming into work or coming to their own appointments that they scheduled. And then I'm like, wait, like, I'm just going to have fun. I'm not going to complain. And then I have a better day. By just choosing, I'm just going to not be upset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same.
You know, Pema Chodron is a huge influential person in Buddhism. And Pema Chodron says all day long, and all Buddhism is opening and closing in your heart. If you practice bodhicitta towards your patients, your heart is open. You're radiating love. You want to see them. You want to see them with a smile on your face. But then when you close your heart and you're hoping they don't show up, or the phone rings and you don't want to answer it, or there's a knock at the door and you don't want to open the door, or you have to go to the store but you don't want to go and you're dreading it, that you can tell when your heart is closed and when it's open. It's so easy to think in those terms. Like, if I'm thinking negatively about someone or something, I can tell my heart is closed. And I'm back in that dark forest. When I change my perception, choose to open my heart and allow bodhicitta to radiate from me, then I'm in that valley with the sun and the green rolling hills. That's all Buddhism is opening and closing in your heart.
I'm going to start saying that. If someone's in a bad mood, I'm going to say, hey, open your heart up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We think that we try to protect ourselves from the world by holding it away from us and closing our heart. But there's no happiness in a little tiny bubble. When you're restricted, there's no happiness. And so when you embrace life, whatever it is, even paying a bill or going to work or doing something you don't want to do, like washing your clothes or something, if you can do it with an open heart, because you're going to have to do it anyway, you know? And so on your deathbed, you don't want to die, but you open your heart and you embrace death with bodhicitta. And then you've done this practice all your life, so that on that final day, that final hour, if you have time to think, you say, now is the time of my death. I'm going to open my heart and I'm going to embrace whatever death is and whatever it is on the other side. I'm going to meet it with an open heart. Make sense?
Yeah. Also, I don't know, that kind of made me think of the Robert Frost poem, with paths, and how you can either choose the easy route, which is walking with your heart closed and thinking the world is against you, or you can open your heart up and walk the path less taken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful poem. That's one of the first poems I ever remember ever saying, oh, this is what poetry is. It's powerful.
Yeah, me too. That poem really changed me.
It makes me feel sad when I see a lot of people and they don't study Buddhism. They have such big walls up, and their hearts are closed, and they're not willing to let anyone in, and they're always expecting something bad to happen to them, and they don't trust people because they think they're gonna fuck them over. And it makes me sad, because I would rather have my heart open and get hurt or get fired or get let down than it be closed and not even take that chance at all.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. We talk about that kind of stuff all the time. Like, if any of us had a semblance of a good childhood, all of our childhoods were rough, but my heart goes out to people that really had they were very, very mistreated early in life. Because I feel like that's a huge hurdle to try to get over, because you're trying to first establish like your own self-esteem and your own self-worth and find out who you are as a person, and then you think, well, if I must be bad if my own mother is doing this to me, or I must be really bad if my own father is doing this to me. And then those are some of the first perceptions you have of yourself in the world as a mean, angry, violent, untrustful place. I think that's a huge hurdle to have to get over. So, and that's another thing is gratitude, right? Just, man, no matter how bad your life is or how bad your childhood is, or no matter what happened to you in the past, there's somebody that had it worse. And if you can be grateful for the things that you do have and that you have experienced and your present life, gratitude will take you out of the dark forest all the time.
Yeah.
And
Sorry. I mean, I thought that when I was younger, like, I would always say, like, if my mom can't love me enough or treat me right, then how can anybody else? And so I got treated like shit because I had that self-worth. And then, you come to the realization, I think the biggest thing that a young woman or young man can realize is that you are not as valuable as others value you and treat you. That has nothing to do with you. The way people treat you does not have anything to do with you. Because you can't control people and you can't make them treat you a certain way. They treat you how they feel about themselves through projection and other ways. And so, yeah, it is a big hurdle. But once you get past it, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's a great thing about being an adult is being able to get out of there and choose your own friends and who you want to be around.
Mhm.
And also, I think like when you try to come out of that like circle of having low self-worth because the people in your life taught you to have low self-worth, it is a lot easier to be grateful because that becomes a lesson. Like, oh, like, I have a narcissistic mother who treated me like shit because she didn't love herself, so she couldn't love me. But, like, that taught me to be incredibly loving to myself and others. And so I'm grateful for that. Even though it was terrible, it was a lesson in, like, what not to do and what not to become. And now, constantly, I'm like, I will drop anything to be there for someone because I needed that as a child and that wasn't available to me. And I think that just, like, allows me to be grateful for, like, even though it was bad, it was all lessons, and now I can, like, be this loving kindness that everyone needs.
Yeah, and it does make you more grateful for the little things that the people that you've chosen to be around you do for you. Mm-hmm. Like, there's so much love surrounding us, and we're constantly doing sweet things for each other, so I think that it, like, every little thing makes me feel so happy because
But that's the thing, though. You chose to take those things that happen to you and open your heart. Let it open your heart. Some people would have the same mother, same father, same situation, and let it close their heart even more. And so, I don't know who decides that or how that's possible, or maybe that's part of your karma or what. But being able to take those negative experiences and letting it pry your heart open even more, so that you don't treat other people the way you were treated. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And once again, that goes back to Buddhist principles of not letting the world shut you down, letting the world open you up.
Yeah, and you definitely can, like, see that difference in people. But, like, I guess there's just, like, an epiphany moment or something similar where you have to decide, or something happens and you choose to live that way. Like, I know it's going to maybe sound terrible, but, like, I think that if Dad hadn't have died when he did, that I wouldn't be how I am today. Like, I lived in Floresville and I was closed-minded and I was a totally different person until then. And then
wearing Sperry's and cowboy boots.
Yeah, yeehaw as fuck. But, like, my brain was so different. Like, I did not like myself. I was so mean to myself because, like, that's what I had been taught to be, was mean to myself. And then, like, that, like, him dying was, like, my aha moment where I was like, oh, like, I can't be like this. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't be this person. I need to be me, no matter who that is, no matter how weird, no matter whatever. But, like, I don't know, you're right. Like, some people just don't have that, because then I look at Mara, like, we had the same big life-changing moment, and, like, I opened myself up to love and really put myself out there, and she has closed down into this tight little ball. And I'm like, what pushes people? Like, if it's the epiphany for me, then, like, what's the epiphany for other people? Or, like, how do I get those people to, like, but then I guess it's not my business to, like, make someone open their heart. They have to choose that.
Yeah, and everybody's on their own path, you know. It's you're I'm constantly surprised at people that I thought were going to be one way, and then a little bit further down the path, they do have that epiphany, and they totally change, you know. You see that a lot with siblings, you know. Somebody that was like a super mean brother or something like that. Well, then after they experience life and see how cruel and mean life can be, they turn around and come back to their siblings and say, I'm sorry I was so mean to you guys when we were kids, you know. I didn't, you know, I was feeling self-hate towards myself, or, you know, Dad was beating me, so I beat you, or whatever it was. But circumstances change, you know, circumstances flip-flop all the time. So people can only be where they are on the path.
Yeah, true.
But also, we're reading in that book, The Body Keeps Score. It tells you that whenever you are reliving a traumatic experience or talking about it in your brain, in Broca's area in your brain, it deactivates. So some people become closed off because literally their minds are stopping them from having that expressive language and being able to talk about it. So if you are unable to activate that area and not talk about it, then you can't work through the trauma and you're going to be closed. So it's not only just them choosing to close off, but it's also their brain not allowing them to open up as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean the trauma, PTSD does weird things to people. You know, there's a lot of people that are walking around triggered and closed down and not even realizing it. You know, it you know, all you can hope is somewhere on the path something happens to allow them a little bit of light to come in and expose that, so that they can work on those things. You know.
Yeah, and knowing your triggers is big too.
Yeah.
I got triggered the other day with Felix, and I immediately got mad and I just started bitching, and then I sat with myself for a little bit and I was texting Kayla, and then I collected all my thoughts, and then the next day I slept on it, and then the next day I was like, let's talk. I am actually feeling sad because of this and this, and it came out as anger, but I'm actually hurt. And he's like, well, why couldn't you just tell me that yesterday? And I'm like, I was triggered. I didn't understand why I was triggered either. I had to take time to figure it out. And so if you don't take the time and you just think that you're mad about the thing that triggered you, I was bitching about the bed being made. So if you just say, I was just pissed off because the bed wasn't made, and you're not internalizing what happened, why that triggers you and stuff like that, then you're never going to be able to heal from that and become a better person. And some people will just end it like that, and then they're just constantly bitching and bitching and bitching, and there's no end in sight. It's just constant negativity. But if you figure out that that's your trigger and you know why it hurts, then you can be a better person for it and release that trigger.
Yeah, and all you're trying to do is improve your own life, the enjoyment that you find in life, and also improve your relationship with the people around you, right? So by uncovering these triggers, working on yourself, working through some of these things, having some insight, it makes your life easier and everybody's life around you easier, right? All right, let me read some of these things that I wrote down here. I colored all over this book.
You underlined everything in the body book.
All right. Oh, really?
I looked at it and I was like, did he underline the whole book?
No, because I lose interest and then I stop reading. So then you'll get maybe on chapter 3, I've probably stopped underlining stuff. Yeah, you did. Underlining things it keeps my attention.
Highlight.
For some reason, if I'm reading and I'm highlighting and I'm circling and I'm underlining, it keeps my attention in the present moment, you know. So I want to say some of these things about bodhicitta. We all agree that bodhicitta is just living with your heart open, right? Embracing the world. And so it's something that we can cultivate, just like we cultivate a friendship, cultivate a hobby, cultivate growing a plant. It's a learning process. But it's about hanging out in high vibration energy instead of low vibration energy. A lot of people become broken and bitter, and their growth is stunted. So bodhicitta is keeping yourself from becoming broken and bitter. In Buddhism, in Tibetan Buddhism especially, they say that bodhicitta is enlightenment, and enlightenment is bodhicitta. So when you say like, oh my God, enlightenment is this, woo, like Buddha was enlightened, or, you know, whatever. No, it was the experience of bodhicitta. the bodhicitta at the highest level of love, compassion, generosity, friendship, that is enlightenment. You can't put any more words to this, and whatever enlightenment is, than to be living with an open heart. Let's see. Yeah, and basically just, using gratitude to the best of your ability. Looking around and saying it's nice to take a warm shower. It's nice to have food in the refrigerator. It's nice to be able to have this leisure time. It's nice to have electricity and a Zoom account to do Woke House every Saturday. Right?
Mm-hmm.
To be well enough and also to be intelligent enough, well enough in your physical body and well enough mentally to comprehend some of these principles. Not everybody has that.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I want to read this card real quick. There's something called Lojong, which is a mind training teaching. And I'm going to pull a card every Saturday. So this card says, change your attitude but remain neutral. Change your attitude but remain neutral. What do you think that means?
Like how we've been talking about, like, the shift in your perception and your attitude, but, like, also don't become, like, holier than thou with your, okay, my heart is open and I'm walking this path, but, like, oh, your heart's not open, and then you start to judge others, like, you don't get to do that.
Oh yeah, like, don't, like, even if you're choosing to, like, have a positive experience and attitude and perception, you still need to be humble, like, remain humble and not think you're better than others because you're choosing the path of light and beauty in the world.
Yeah, that's exactly what it says on the back. It basically being able to catch something. In mental health, we call it catch it, check it, and change it. Catch it, check it, and change it. Have you ever heard that? Catch a negative thought, check it, and see if you really want to be thinking this way today. If not, change it. Catch it, check it, and change it.
I do that all the time when I'm laying in bed. I'll go to sleep. I'll go to lay down and go to sleep, and I'll think of something I said earlier.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, you know what? I really don't feel like thinking about this right now.
Change the channel.
And so this says, basically catch it, catch it and change it, and then just relax into it, At the end, just relax into it. It's like, I could say, if you do something, and then later you have to go back and apologize and say, hey, I apologize for that. I was triggered. I wasn't my best self. I apologize. Then just let it go and relax into it. Just don't hold on to it for the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and close. You want to?
I thought we were keeping our hearts open.
No, God. All right.
Thanks for opening your hearts for the past 30 minutes. You may close them now.
How about, let's say, the ending prayers?
Okay.
Not the closing prayers, but the ending prayers?
Yeah.
All right. If you go ahead and put yourself on mute. Contemplation of the 10 perfecting qualities. May I be generous and helpful. May I be pure, virtuous, and well-disciplined. May I not be selfish. May I be strenuous, energetic, and persevering. May I be patient. May I be able to bear and forbear the wrongs of others. May I be honest and truthful. May I be firm and resolute. May I be kind, compassionate, and friendly. May I be humble, calm, quiet, unruffled, and serene. That's a mouthful, but I have to say, by hearing myself say that every Saturday, that has to go in there somewhere. That's
my favorites.
Yeah, I was just about to say, these are my favorites out of everything we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's about 3 sentences too long.
I don't think so.
No, I like it. Keep it.
Okay.
I think that's like the most important part of all of that.
Really?
Yeah. That's like
That's like our mantra to go into the whole rest of the week.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like affirmations to myself.
Yeah. Like I say, you know, I hear myself saying those things. That has to be registering somewhere. All right. Discourse on loving kindness. Just as a mother would protect her only child, even at her own life's risk. So let everyone cultivate a boundless heart towards all beings. Let our hearts of boundless love pervade the whole world, so that all beings without exception might be happy. And this is interesting, you know, this is something that Rinpoche used to talk about all the time, is like he didn't expect when he came to the United States or to the West that people would have such bad relationships with their mother. Because in other cultures, when you say the word mother, it inspires such reverence and such, like when you say treat everyone as if they were your own mother, people in other cultures instantly get that. Like they instantly understand that, you know, if you're raised in a third world country in poverty, it's your mother that's keeping you alive. Like your mother might not have enough to eat, but her breast milk is keeping you alive. There might be water leaking down from the roof every time it rains, but your mother makes sure that you're dry and you're off the cold floor, and that you're wrapped up and you're swaddled when it's cold. You know, in different parts of the world, and I can't say that, you know, every mother is perfect all over the world, you know, in other cultures or whatever, but it's just amazing how, like, in this culture, people that have such affluence, you know, they live in these huge mansions and have billions of dollars in the bank, but their own mother mistreated them. Their own mother hated them. They never saw their mom and dad. Their mom and dad were always at work. They were raised by nannies or something. Compared to, in some parts of the world, your mother literally is the only thing, is the difference between life and death is the fact that you have a good mother. So when we say prayers that come from the Tibetan philosophy, Buddhist philosophy or Buddhist tradition, when we say just as a mother would protect her only child even at her own life's risk, so let everyone cultivate a boundless heart towards all beings. That's like saying, you know, my mother in Tibet, you know, took care of me in extreme cold. Like it was so cold that I would have froze to death if my mother wouldn't have carried me inside of her robes throughout my childhood to keep me warm, you know. That's how I should reach out to everyone that I meet with this boundless heart of love. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does.
Whereas sometimes here we have, you know, kind of difficult relationships with our mother. So when we say just as a mother would protect her only child, sometimes we're thinking, me and my mom really didn't get along that well. I don't get this prayer, you know. But we have to change our perception and understand what is meant by the word mother in the Buddhist tradition.
Yeah.
Okay. Closing dedication of merit. If I have attained any merit by the result of this practice, may it be accredited to all beings everywhere. May they find the source of suffering and extinguish it. May they find the source of happiness and increase it. May all beings dwell in ultimate unalloyed nibbana. Unalloyed nibbana. Alright, so we'll bow to the shrine and we'll bow to our Sangha brothers and sisters with smiles of gratitude.
Okay, I'm done.
Namaste, 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 namaste.